this platform calling.
So the
Great.
broadcast is live now. Yeah.
Yes. Good evening. Namaste, everybody. I am Ashish Banka, and fantastic evening today. We bring a seventh series of this Rockstar series, as we say, CEO and HR then and now. Today we have somebody whom I personally very admire. He is one whom I have looked upon from the start of my career, and getting him to this particular chat series, it's itself very privileged. Today we have one and only Mr. RP Yadav. He is a name which does not need any introduction, but still for everybody, I will like to give us very brief introduction. He is the managing director and chairman of Genius Consultants Limited. He founded this organization 27 years back. This organization is now growing. It has also created an RPO. Before this, Mr. Yadav worked with Johnson& Johnson, J Engineering Limited, HCL, Business Forums. Mr. RP Yadav is a recognized name and somebody who everybody looks upon to. He received the Lifetime Achievement Award from World HRD Congress and Global HR Excellence Awards in 2015. He has spearheaded many organizations in terms of, vice president of IASF, chairman of ERA, ex-chairman of ISTD Kolkata chapter, and member of advisory committee of NHRD Kolkata chapter. He is responsible and leading the strategy of an organization which everybody knows about it. It is one of the best organizations in terms of staffing solution companies. But I just give a small so that all the audience are aware about it. So Genius is an 27-year-old company. Started its core business operation with permanent staffing is its core competency under the able leadership of Mr. P Yadav. Subsequently, Genius diversified its operations to flexi staffing solutions, which launched in 2001, dealing in outsourcing of manpower. During this course of further diversification, Genius has launched its 5 feature products, namely payroll processing, background verification, statutory compliances, facility management, security services, and payroll and training and development. Genius has all big clients under their belt and the kind of reputation which the organization has, and more importantly, the kind of people perspective with this organization. When we associate organization as culture and people practices, we only go back to the organizations in terms of channelized organizations. When we look into organizations like Genius, we really feel proud that it has created a niche segment itself. Thank you so much and welcome and namaste, sir, for this valuable time you are sparing for us. While I was sharing this, why this is important, and while we begin the chat series, I'll just give audience a small introduction. How? So I was sharing with sir that I first saw him on the dais of CII in Kolkata when he was receiving the Businessman of the Year, and he was felicitated there. While that journey continued, and in almost a decade, and 3 years back, we again crossed roads where we shared a panel of organized by a Times. And while we maintained that connect, fortunately, I got a chance to work with Genius in some of my companies. And today, when I connected with him and invited him, he gracefully, within a second, he said yes. That's kind of, I'm absolutely happy and so overwhelmed with his gesture and his loving and caring. More importantly, this chat series as we focus in positive mode, sir. And most importantly is your ever smiling face and your positivity. And हिंदी में जैसे बोलते हैं मृतभाषी, आप इतने मृतभाषी हैं कि जो लोग सीईओ को देख के डरते होंगे या आपके पास कोई इंटरव्यू के लिए भी आता होगा तो बिल्कुल नहीं डरते होंगे. तो स्टार्ट ऑफ दिस चैट सीरीज से बताइए, ये आपने इतनी बड़ी जर्नी के बाद मितभाषी थे ना, मितभाषी पहले से ही थे और आपको लगा कि नहीं बाकी सब मितभाषी होते, मैं मितभाषी बन के रहूंगा, मेरे को गुस्सा करने का जरूरत नहीं.
Yeah, Ashish, so good evening, everyone. And it's nice to be with you, Ashish. And I must compliment the kind of series which you have started. You are bringing some of the good people on this platform to share their experience. And I'm sure the young generation with the experience will be enriched. Now, let me tell you, being sweet or being nice it is a culture of India, but maybe some people they forget it, But being nice and being simple is the only way you can enjoy the life. Is the only way that you can build something big. Uh, so right from beginning, when I was in the job, I was extremely successful. I worked with a few companies like Johnson and Johnson, SCA Limited, business firms, and Engineering, which makes USA brand fan and swing machines. So the last when I worked, it was a 150 crore company, and I was completely in charge all India with Business Firms Limited. But throughout my 16 years of working, Ashish, I always felt that being simple but persuasive and firm, it makes you a much a better leader compared to a leader which shouts and creates sour or unnecessary demands or unnecessary things you do. It does not make much sense. And just to tell you, how I came into the business. It is my boss who was in the business forms. He was a little angry man. So we had a branch in Delhi and a small factory in Delhi. And there was a fraud in the branch, and there were 14 people in the branch. And he terminated everybody, and he came and said that there was a fraud, RP, and you go and you remake the whole team. So I went to Delhi and I stayed in Vikram Hotel for about 15 days. And fortunately, I could contact all kind of consultant in Delhi, and I was able to recruit all people which was required, and most of the people they joined during when I was there for about 15 days. All I'm trying to say that if you are angry or you are unnecessarily difficult, you create trouble for yourself. But if you are sweet, doesn't mean that you give up. Sweet does not mean that you compromise on what you want. Sweet does not mean that you don't have a goal or you don't have an objective. But being sweet, being persuasive, being demanding, being firm, with a smile or with a firmness makes you a better leader, in my opinion. And that's what I have been doing throughout last 27 years. And as a result, most of the people whom I recruited in the initial phase, they stayed with me, because somehow they felt that maybe equations with me was good.
Great, thank you so much. I would definitely touch upon that point later. For we HR people, we talk about employee retention, employee growth, acceleration. The way which you have done, you have really trademarked the entire, and we'll come back to those secrets. Going forward, how so? Did you anytime imagine when you started Genius and after quitting job that it will become such an empire and somebody did you have that ambition or that happened gradually over the time? It was tailor made or it was something which happened in due course of time as you.
So Ashish, when where I left, I'm starting. So when I was in the Bikram Hotel and when I was interviewing and I was meeting with all the consultant, Ashish, and in that journey when I recruited all the people and most of the people they joined during that time, somehow from inner feeling I felt that this is the business I can make very large ones. That which you call ringing a bell in your heart and the brain both. And so I decided that time that I will get into the business of recruitment. And that was 1990. So I took 3 years this, and really I planned, I strategized, I started checking all recruitment ad. I became a consultant, impaneled consultant only in the evening while working with another consultant, to learn the ropes of the business. And for 2.5 years, I did the research and I thoroughly understood the business. Then I resigned and I started. So So when I started Assis, I started thinking that I'll make big, because anyway, I was extremely successful being a professional. I was general manager, I was handling a company, two company, and that time 150 crore, but the 150 crore that time was quite large, in those days, 30 years back. It was quite large. I was having a car, very good positions, So the reason for leaving was that I want to make big. Whatever I have learned, let me practice that, and somehow HR was very close to my heart, and I felt that I can make it big, So, and even I started as a private limited company. I didn't start either a proprietorship because I felt that if I start as a private limited, I recruit good people. This is the only way I can make the big company. So right from beginning, it was decided by my that I will make it big. But of course, the product, the customer, the value, the transaction is not known to you when you start in, because you don't have customer, you don't have the product exactly how it will move, and what kind of product you will add, the only perceptions and the feeling, or maybe the strategy or encouragement within you have, that I want to make it big, but that is necessary for anybody who wants to become entrepreneur. Otherwise he can't be entrepreneur unless he thinks big.
Great. A very twisted question, a leading question out of your answer. Are entrepreneurs born or entrepreneurs made? You never came from an entrepreneur family, and you have more than a decade working as. So, do you feel entrepreneurship is a an attribute which comes within, or it is a skill which you have to acquire?
I think, see, entrepreneurship, see, we have to understand that how does entrepreneur comes, it could be a compulsion. That means, your family is in the business and they want you to come in. So you carry on the business of the family. It could be incident, in my case, it was an incident which prompted me and which made me feel that, it could be a good business for me. It could be inspiration also. There are many people I know. He is inspired by someone who is doing something, and he feels that he can do that. Uh, in my case, it was incident which made me to come into business. So, in my opinion, see, entrepreneurship are not born. In my opinion, entrepreneurship is a feeling based on the skill, feeling based on the expertise within, feeling on the basis of the kira which you have inside. Some people have kira as an entrepreneur, kira within inside, so that instinct you to get into the business. But the journey of the business, in particularly first 3 4 years, is definitely difficult. Even I had, because the road is uncertain, the goal is uncertain, the your movement is uncertain. I must tell you, when I started, I kept my all the trousers and all that. अगर नहीं चलेगा तो शायद यही trouser मुझे पहनना पड़ेगा. I became faculty on some of the management institute in those days, so that I get extra income in case if it does not run, because I had two kids and family, and there are regular expenses, and I also took training for a company called National Products, but of course, I left just within 6 months because I felt that is not my cup of tea. This I can pursue, So in the beginning, Assis, it is difficult, it is uncertain, the goal is not known, and entrepreneurship is not born in. Entrepreneurship is something which somebody feels from inside, and एक कीड़ा भी होता है, compulsion भी होता है, inspiration भी होता है, and which prompts you to get into that, and once you get into that, and if you can hold on the first 3 years, because the first 3 years is the time which where by which you think of a product, you think of a customer, you think of a processes, you think of a procedure, you think of a team, you think of a legality, you think of the finances, and all these things, if you are able to manage in those first 3 years, to some extent reasonable, I would say. Nobody can be expert in first 3 years, but even if you are reasonably, you are able to manage that, then you are through, and you could be good.
Your answer befits a proverb that you don't need a great start, but you need to ensure that your start is great. You have put
Yeah.
your best effort. Going forward, risk is very important in entrepreneurship. As you told, you had family and all. How did you get that courage? That is this my vision and intuition and inspiration to do entrepreneurship? Or at that point of time, after doing a market, after doing a due diligence, you found that this business really requires and has a lot of scope of growth and development.
Okay. So when I thought of the business, the first time I shared with my wife, I shared with my parents, and I shared with some of my close friends. So my parent, obviously, my father was in the job. My mother is from the village. So they said, "नहीं बेटा ये ठीक नहीं है तुम you have a good job, you got a car, you are traveling by flight." So they saw my life, ये एकदम ठीक नहीं है. My friend said that you are idiot, you should not get into that. Only wife could support. She said, if your heart says and if you feel that you can do well, I think you should go. Uh, so when you think of uh, obviously there are some people who will tell you go ahead. Some people will tell you don't go ahead. Some people will not be able to say any indecisive. But when you think of your business, Ashish, in my opinion, one has to look contemporary. Contemporary means when I was empaneled as a consultant to on another consultant, so I could evaluate myself कि अगर ये आदमी इस business को इस तरह से कर सकता है, the skill which I have, the knowledge which I have, can I do that? I think the answer was yes. Yes, you can do it. There was some consultant in India or in Calcutta which was doing well. I knew them, and if they were doing well, so I evaluated myself against them. I think everybody does this. Who starts a business. So answer was that yes, you can do it. I think you have the skill, you have the education, you have the experience, and while interacting in Delhi with all the consultants, I felt I can do it. So you require equating with some people who are in the business. You require support by someone. So in my case, it was my wife was a big support. You require inspiration. So my inspirations were in those days who were doing this business, and above and all is the courage within you, and the courage comes when the courage comes with your skill, with your knowledge, and with your visualization. If you can visualize the tunnel in advance कि मैं थोड़ा इस तरह से कर करके इसको सजाऊंगा और करूंगा, see the result will come. You don't know what will happen in next 6 months, 1 year. Nobody knows that. But visualization makes you comfortable. You're a skill. You're somebody who supports you. That makes you comfortable. So in my case, these all few combination made me to feel that I can make it. So let me go it, and I went it.
Great, sir. I think thank you so much for this very insightful and elaborate. I asked this question why I'll clarify to the audience because the questions, if you see, this might be very relevant or maybe very specific to Mr. Yadav. But all of us, whenever we do something in life, anything new, we all have all these dilemmas, all this social pressure, all these risks. But when we become successful, these are the stories which really pull us off. It's a very important question that whenever we take this journey, specifically of this such a very engaging and a very journey which everybody is looking up to you. How what are your principles in life? There are some principles which you follow, which you have designed over the period of time, and which you always stick by. Any principle which you like to share with our audience and HR leaders and students for them?
Okay, so let's see. When we talk about principle analysis, there are a few principles. A person cannot be. So one is the business principle is there. Second is your self principle is there. Third is the family principle is there, and fourth is the social principle. So in my opinion, there are four at least. There could be many more. But there are the four principles which I carry on it. So let me say first my self principle. The self principle is that your health has to be good, and there cannot be if my health is not good, I can't run a company. I can't do anything. If I'm sick, I'm not able to go to office. बार बार बुखार लगता है, बार बार हम घर में रहते हैं, क्या हम कंपनी को चलाएंगे? So the first thing is to love yourself and to make yourself good. And you must be down to earth. I think being simple is more enjoyment. Being flamboyant is not enjoyment. अगर हम सिंपल रहते हैं, सिंपल जो घर का खाना होता है, या हम अपने फैमिली के साथ जो टाइम बिताते हैं, या म्यूजिक सुनते हैं, या पिक्चर देखते हैं, बीइंग सिंपल, बिकॉज इफ यू आर सेलिब्रिटी, these all things are cut. You can't go to film just like that. You can't because anything you do, it goes out. So in my opinion, being simple is more. So that's my self principle. The same good health, being simple, doing all the simple things to enjoy more in the life, being good to myself, and to retain good health. I have been doing exercise, not today, maybe for the last 50 years. My age is now 64, but I was always freak, so that is why I'm thin. So I always had a exercise. So I did boxing, judo, karate, swimming, daily going. So still I do exercise. I play golf. I spend good amount of time in seeing. So touchwood, in 27 years of running Genius, I have fallen sick only twice. So that is the self principle. The second principle is the family principle. No matter whatever big you are in, if you are not good, you are not taking care of your wife, your children, your wife, your parents, and your siblings, all the achievements, in my opinion, is useless. So I'm very close. I ensure to do certain activities to see that my family is always intact. I'm in touch, and we love each other. And so for that, you need to do quite a few programs in your home. I mean, khali bonus to nahi hoga. You have to do quite a few programs, engagement program in the family, like we do in the business. Why not in the family? So in the family also, you have to do many engagement program, and that has to be done deliberately, in my opinion. So I do that, and so that the family is close. So that's the second one. Third one is in the business principle. Now, business principle becomes more responsible. So my first principle was that the first set of the people which I take, they have to be qualified. They need to be smart. They need to be good human beings, so that they stay with me. And when the company becomes big, they run the company. And I only strategize. I make the principle. I just ensure that what I build, do the principle and strategy gets implemented. So in the right from beginning, Ashish, being a private limited company, I only took MBA. I took only the people who had more than 58% marks. And in those days, there were only 3, 4 institutes. So I used to take only from ISWBM or Yadavpur University MBA. So the first batch people I have taken mostly are from ISWBM, because that was the only good institute. I couldn't afford IIM. So but I could convince them that what I'm looking for. And fortunately, the first level of the people, either the CEO or the president of Genius, is all 20 years plus, and they have stayed. That's why I'm comfortable. So that's the first principle. Building a team. So I got about 146 team leaders out of 480 employees. These 146, out of that, I think 139 would be who have grown within the organization. So the first level is 20 years plus, second level will be anything between 10 years and plus, third level will be 5 years and plus, and the fourth level, which is the team leaders, they will be anything between 2 years to 5 years in the company. So that is the principle of this. Third is, build good client. Don't take a wrong client with you, because one wrong client takes you behind 3 months. One good client takes you 3 months ahead. So right from beginning, we had a set of principle that हमें proprietorship के साथ नहीं काम करना है, partnership के साथ नहीं काम करना है. In those days, 30 crore plus 50 employee plus will be the only client of Genius. In those days, of course, now it is 300 crore and 300 employees and only limited company, preferably a listed company, should be the client of Genius. So, getting a right client, that's the third principle, And the fourth principle is that you should have a good HR policy in the company. You should have all the process and procedure written. So the first HR policy of Genius when I joined, it was just of one basis. And उस वन पेज में था ड्रेसिंग ड्रेस कोड क्या होगा, अटेंडेंस क्या होगा, लीव क्या होगा, कौन से दिन हम बंद रहेंगे, हम क्लाइंट के साथ कैसे डील करेंगे, हमारे ऑफिस में आएंगे तो हम कैसे. सो इट वाज जस्ट वन पेज. Today, of course, it would be, I think, about 800 pages HR policy of Genius. So the client, the team, the processes, there are a few principles. There are many principles, but these are the basic principle of the. So I have told you about the self principle, the family principle, and the business principle. The social principle, See, we as a human being, we are all social, and we cannot stay alone. We have to socialize, So you need to be good. You need to make good friends in the society, in the business community. So I have tried deliberately. In those days, I was very active in NHRD, and IPM, ERA, ISTD, CII, because that was I was young, and because all this activity takes place in the evening, So you could after office hours. Of course, nowadays I don't go. Now children they go, but in those days I used to spend a lot of time being a part of ERA or NIPM, NHRD, CII, ISTD, and even the social functions where I used to stay. So these are the few principles which takes you up in life. Of course, I don't think it is so difficult to practice. It is only one has to think to practice.
Great. I think thank you so much, sir. This was indeed very elaborate, and all of us are taking a note of it and creating because when we come across people, we realize that principles keep changing. Especially when we, as people, when we work, we always think as business leaders, they might be cunning, they might be money-minded, they might be non-empathetic. While what you have narrated has truly changed the diverse perspective of it, specifically giving what kind of principles can lead to your success. While we take this, I can narrate in one line. You think like a businessman, not like a salesman, and that is
Yeah.
one very important aspect which we learn. Talking about this present scenario, which I was also going through a video of yours in YouTube, which you had 28 March working from home, which you had 3-minute video, which you have shared with everybody. I was going through that. COVID-19, while we coming out of it, we still, we had 8.5 lakhs of cases and people are still business industry. Some industries have got a boost, some industries have taken a setback. And how does genius place itself in this situation? And what do you see at a micro or a macro level after this COVID? How the economy will shape up, and what would be the specifically I will talk about of our colleagues who are into most of them are into employment or in job. What would be the job market? So one is in terms of a generic scenarios comparing genius in terms how they have managed COVID. Second is the macro of the economy of Indian economy, and third is your job market. So this considering COVID situation and pandemic while India comes out, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Um, See, this pandemic is unprecedented. In 27 years of my career of genius, I have never seen like this. Of course, we have seen the bad economy. 2000 K we saw in 2007, we saw in even 2015. But like this, I have never seen in the life. It is completely unprecedented. We are taken off guard. But obviously, you learn, and when you do the research, then you find that there was a swine flu, and the swine flu, 5 crore people had died, and more than 50 crore people were infected in that. So if the world can overcome that, how come the world will not overcome that? Because this is not that deadly disease. It is a disease where the morbid mortality rate is just about 3.5%. Uh, but it is very contagious. So in my opinion, the whole world will overcome, because we expect vaccine maybe in the first week of 2000, early 2021, vaccine is expected. There are many medicines has come, so obviously the society, the business, the industry, all we are struggling. But if I look at genius, and the government has done many things. I mean, we have seen so many kind of things government has done. But every individual, every company has to fight itself. So Genius is also fighting itself. So Abhi, in my opinion, surviving this year 2020-21 is the mantra. If I survive, that itself is a profit for Genius. So to survive this, what we have done, let's say we have divided the business into two parts. One is the outsourcing business. So outsourcing business is like manpower outsourcing is there. So in that comes, uh, general outsourcing. We have IT outsourcing. We have a facility management. We have a security management. We have payroll, and we have compliance. So these are the five businesses, which is a more like a HR outsourcing kind of business. The second business is which is the recruitment business. So it's a firm recruitment, IT recruitment, temp recruitment. So actually the recruitment is struggling. So the demand of recruitment has definitely gone down. So now what we have done, that business is okay. I think reasonably outsourcing is okay. Maybe some number gets reduced. So in that business, there are sunrise industry. So we are tying up with all the sunrise industry to make up whatever we are losing from the going down industry. So there we are trying to fill up that, and we are quite successful in that. In the recruitment, again, there are some sunrise industry like health and pharma is there. Virtual aggregators are there. Some IT companies are there. Consumer products are there, e-commerce are there. So we are trying to, not trying, we have already started, to deal with those companies and get more and more mandate. So with that, the first quarter is just had ended, So we have a 2% growth in the revenue, but we have made 2% growth compared to the last year. So that's a consolation that, okay, we are not ending bad. So this year, the mantra is that somehow we have to survive. If I survive, that itself is a big profit and big achievement for us. I don't think we are looking for a big profit. We are not looking for the big growth this year. We will all. So demand of recruitment will be sluggish, Ashish. But there are certain industry where the demand is very good. I mean, you have health and pharma is there,
Correct.
virtual aggregators are there, certain IT companies are there, telecom company demand
Correct.
will go up, e-commerce
Correct.
company demand, like we work with Google's, not able to find out to be, not able to give the people. We work with Amazon, not able to give the people. So now just we have signed with your company, ex company, Reliance Geo. It's difficult to get the people. The number of requirement which we have is a phenomenal, and you're not able to give. So one sided is the short of supply, other sided is the sort of demand. So as a company, you have to be dynamic and you have to be flexible to change the guard yourself. You need to come out. One side there is a sort of demand, and one side there is a sort of supply. So you need to come out from the sort of demand to sort of supply and move toward that. So fortunately, we have been able. So it's not only Genius. I think most of the companies they have to do this, and fortunately, we are in the service industry, so we can do that. But imagine a company which is in that business and they don't have that much of flexibility. They can't do much. I mean, I have. client who are in manufacturing. Nothing can be done on that end. You have a restaurant, you got hotel industry, you have airlines industry, tourism industry. They cannot do much. And I would say that situation is a mixed bag. Some industry is doing well, some industry is not doing well. Somewhere there is a short of demand, somewhere there is a short of supply. Uh, so everybody have to innovate. Every company have to innovate from short of demand to have to come into short of supply. So if you move toward that, then you get more business. So what you have lost in the short of demand, you make up in the short of supply. And अपना गाड़ी चलाते रहिए and somehow survive this year. कितना होगा? I think maybe 2020, 21, or maybe 2 quarters of 21-20 suffering will be there. But after that, I think tunnel light will be there and we'll overcome this.
Great. So I think that was very important to hear from you this because especially people who are into job and the people whom I have come across and whom I am interacting. So I come from a hospitality industry after Geo since I work in commerce now. We are also deeply impacted as part of this COVID. But very important that as individuals, as professionals, or as entrepreneurs, or as business leaders, we keep that positive mindset very important. Because as a business leader, the most important thing which I like कि आपने जिस बोला कोई बात नहीं सब मतलब the statement which you gave everybody realizes that your one statement impacts 480 lives into four their family members as well. So you are
Yeah.
particularly handling almost 1300 people in a including their families. आपका एक statement कितना important रहता है उनके लिए. Moving this conversation coming to HR, which is the common factor which connects all of us.
Yeah.
You have seen HR journey from transactional to transformational.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from you how does so when you started it was personal department, then came as HR, then human capital. So IT companies have derived that term human capital. So HR role, I would like you to help us all to learn and maybe give us focus. And this is a question which everybody understands. CEO's expectation from HR. We had many series and many seminars, many conclaves on this particular topic, and this will be a befitting expectation setting from you to all of us as HR leaders in our organization. What is the expectation of HR which a business leader expects? And specifically coming through these turbulent times, what are the things, the small things or the micro or the macro things which an HR leader should do for an organization?
Okay. So, Ashish, I'll tell you a couple of context with related to HR. 27 years back, which is almost, let's say, 10 into 30 years almost. So those days, HR was more of a kind of, there was a factory, and there was an office. So it was more of a management of IR, management of attendance, paying the salary, doing the admin, doing the booking the ticket for important people. I think this is where the HR was centering in those days, and some training program used to be there. But even the company used to not like to spend the money on the training program. From there, it has completely moved now, no more transactional HR, there has to be a lot of value addition by HR. Uh, Now, what is the value addition of HR? See, the most important role, in my opinion, of HR is HR plays very, very important role for any company. We also have around 480 employees, 15 offices. Um, so, what I see a good HR department, a good HR person who knows the balancing factor between the management, the employee, the client, the environment. When I say environment, it could be a government, it could be a department, it could be anything, outside of the company. So the fine HR person knows how to balance this. Now, now let me make you very simple. How one can do the balancing. So I have a HR guy. As usual, I took him about I think about 17 years back in the company, and that time I didn't have the HR department. I think, yeah, about 18 years back, So when he joined, I told him that look, when I will have 50 people, I will start HR department. So till such time, I was managing myself, the one page HR policy, the files of all the people, and जिसको भी increment देना है, उनको letter type कर देना, उसको file करना मैं रखता था. So when it became, then he became HR. So for the last 18 years, he is with us. Now that person, not only he handles the HR of the company, that means the balancing between the management, the employee, the client. So that guy is very good to understand how the business requirement is changing in the market. Based on that, what could be the HR policy, admin policy, the travel policy, the various transactional policy of the company? Because if the policy is made only on the basis that what is happening in the other company, let us make this policy. In my opinion, that is nonsense. The policy has to be designed for the company specific, how that company is getting influenced by what is happening in the market, in the government level, and at the client level, and in our company, the management and the employee. ये चारों factor है, इसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए how good he is to design the policy. So like say, let's say one policy, when we thought of how do we retain the people in the company. So when I sat with him, then we thought that, what does the requirement of a person takes place when he comes into the company. So when he comes, when he's 20, 23, 23 years or 21, 21 years, when somebody joins, he needs a bike. After that, he gets married. The moment he's married, his children has to go to the school. So his fees in admission is an issue for him. Then after some time, when he's married and child comes, he will definitely look for a house and a car. He will look for insurance also. When we are young, we are not bothered about insurance. So he came with a policy that said, why don't we think of a own your bike scheme? Why don't we think of a own your car scheme? Why don't we think of good insurance for the company? Why don't we think of giving school fees? Why don't we think about giving cylinder, gas? Because wife will be very happy if you give reimbursement to the gas, if you give a reimbursement to the electricity. So it was not copied what was happening outside. It was thought what is happening in the company, and that is what is HR. So in my opinion, from transactional HR, it is that you need to understand that how do I make my people's life, the activity more comfortable, more interesting, more engagement, and more process driven. How do I safeguard my people from, like every year announcement of budget comes, he will immediately come, this year this budget has come. So let us think about how do we make our people more tax-free income to them. So that is what is HR job, So when we think about, let's say that leave, national holiday. तो नेशनल हॉलिडे में हम किस तरह से करें, क्योंकि हमारा बिजनेस मोर ऑफ सैलरी रिइंबर्समेंट्स आर देयर बिकॉज़ वी डू द पेरोल ऑफ 55,000 people, we do the payroll, only payroll of almost about 60,000, so 1 lakh people. So बैंक का दिन में हमारा छुट्टी रखना ठीक नहीं है. So all the leave will be designed in a such a way कि बैंक हॉलिडे में हमारा छुट्टी रहे, अदर डे में नहीं रहे. This is one thing. So this is what HR has to move. Second thing, HR has to also come and understand now that we are in a pandemic situation. So negotiating with all the vendors, negotiating with all the landlords, thinking about the office shrinking, people will work from the home, giving asset to them. So it's a more what we can do. So HR has to think about what environment is happening, what is happening with the client, what is happening with our people, what is happening within the organization. So this is how the HR has to move from transaction to more of a company centric and the environment centric.
Great, sir. I think, uh, while you were, I forgot at one point of time that we having a chat, it was a master class, which, coming from as HR people, what should we do? And specifically, just to add on, fortunately, I did a cold calling while I was in my previous company to a genius employee. And
Okay.
I told him that you join the organization. My So he told, yes, but I get two things here which I will might not get anywhere. I told, what? I will pay you good salary. I will give you, good travel allowance, and you will have, a 9 to 5 job. He told, empathy and respect.
Yeah.
A genius employee replied me back over a telephone when I was a young HR professional that empathy and respect isn't what I get in my organization. And the amount of empathy and respect I get from my bosses and my team, I might not get it in your organization. So I will not like to change my job. This is, and while I interact with all the leadership team of yours, Shivda and everybody, highly, they come back, in terms of people, as you specifically answered also in this, that people management is a key skill, and that, is very important while you understand people and you become their family. Yes, I meet nobody I've come across and they say Genius is a company, Genius is a family. Like my ex company Reliance used to say, Reliance is a family, it is not a company. Most of the
Yeah.
organizations put that perspective into place. So moving this forward, COVID-19 seems to be accelerating the digital transformation in the workplaces across industries. How is the business fast tracking their digital agenda? Because as you told that, aligning to the needs of the current time is very important. And digitalization is one of the important aspects and a key role which HR is playing nowadays in all organizations. How do you see this digital awareness or digital acceleration taking it forward?
See, Ashish, I'm really amazed the digital transformation which has taken place. Are you there, Ashish?
I'm there, sir. I'm there, sir.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So I'm amazed the pace at which the digital transformation, it had already started, but it is definitely accelerating, and every company has to come up. Just to give you one example, uh, the entire 2 months, that is April and May, we all operated from the home. And we had to do the payrolling of around 55,000 people, and also 60,000 people, which we do just with the payroll. It was done seamlessly. It was only because the digital platform was there, the banking was digital, we were all digital. There is a training division we launched about 6 months of Genius, and we were really struggling to establish that. But this virtual, which has come now, I was really surprised that the two training which we did just in about 1 month, and it is a huge success. So now the training division got established because of this digital transformation. We did a post training just day for yesterday on Friday, and you'll be surprised. We had to block after 100 the participant. We said so already the three times participant is already guaranteed. So 300 is already guaranteed, which we were struggling in the beginning. So the digital, see, right from the supply chain to the marketing, gone are the days where people will like to meet with you. You have to do all the marketing discussion 90% over the video. Your all the joining formalities of all the employee which will come in the company, it will be completely virtual, and digital based. The people's right from appointment letter to renewals to giving the salary increment to various letter which you issue to him, all the training, it will be completely virtual in the company. So digital transformation will be the requirement in my opinion. All the see. the support function, obviously, it has become already in most of the company. When you take the accounting, you take the finances, these were all had become already, because it was through the Delhi and it was on the web. In India context, I'm talking about. It was the supply chain which was not that digital, but now it has also become digital because anything you want to buy, you want to call all the vendors, you want to take the quote from the vendors. It is completely virtual today. So supply chains, the production obviously has to be physical, but after the production, before the production, all the activity, and after the production, all the activity will be completely virtual and it will be digital. So any company who thinks कि नहीं हम ये नहीं करेंगे will not survive. I think all the company has to, and HR too, it will be completely virtual. It will be completely virtual. This department, so one has to accept this. Even the people who will join, maybe you will see his face only over the video, and actually you will see him physically on maybe when he joins to the office, or maybe you will not see him. Maybe he will work from the home only, and only you will see him maybe in some conference when you call him, and maybe that conference also will be the virtual, in my opinion. So, in fact, I know a guy who joined IBM, and 3 months have passed. He's only working from the home. Neither he has gone to the office. His laptop has come by the courier. His all the appointment letter has come virtual. He has joined virtual. He is servicing the client also on virtual. So virtual is the requirement of the day, and any company who does not do will not survive.
Great, so I think that's very important. And the statement that HR will be virtual, I don't know whether we feel happy or we feel scared as HR fraternity that,
No, I think
but
as a fraternity, Assis, one should feel very happy about that, because see, remember, anything which comes and does a value additions, it reduces your physical working is always should be respected, and should be always encouraged. When the computer came, people thought that it will take away the job. No, it multiplied the job. When AI came, people thought it will take away the job. No, it is multiplying the job. So it is not. Or when the Indian airlines were privatized, people thought airlines के सारे लोग नौकरी चलाए. नहीं, it has multiplied. When the radio was privatized, people thought कि उनका सारे का नौकरी चला जाएगा. But you think there are too many FM, and lakhs and lakhs people are employed only in the radio itself. So anything which is economical, which makes convenient, which reduces the hard work or labor, it makes you more contactless. It definitely it encourages the business. It increases the value of the department, in my opinion. See the banking in our time, हम लोग बैंक में जाते थे, टोकन लेते थे, 1 घंटा वेट करते थे, उसके बाद मुझे पैसा मिलता था, उसको हम लोग काउंट करते थे, रखते थे. तो जब एटीएम आया, तो बहुत सारे बैंक के सोचे कि बैंक का क्या जरूरत है, यहाँ पर नौकरी कम हो जाएगा. बट यहाँ क्या नौकरी कम हुआ है? क्या नहीं. it has it has increased. So any convenience, in my opinion, increases. So HR should not feel that being virtual, being digitized, or being flexi or being gig, it will reduce the importance. No, HR is the most important department in my, at least for me. HR is the most important department in my opinion, and that must be. Any company who does not respect HR department will never survive, will never grow, will never be on a leadership position.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really very encouraging and for all our audience because ये एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट ना दिमाग में ब्लॉक था काफी दिनों से जो मैं बात कर रहा था. So coming from you, this will really help. Ending this particular session, and when we move to our next session. So a lot of employees are working remotely. And what do you think? Work from home challenges or new technology adoption? How do you comprehend this work from home for most of the employees? Spending more time, it has pros and cons both.
Yeah, see, work from home will be applicable to certain industries, certain functions. It will not be applicable to to everyone, every functions. Like production cannot be work from home. It has to be in the factory itself. So some people will work from home, and so it has to be designed company specific, industry specific. But in my opinion, whether you work from home, whether you work from office, the control mechanism has to be there. You must know when the person is logging. You must know whether the person is logging out. You must know that what quantum of work has been given, whether that quantum of work is being done or not. You must ensure that the person who is working in the home does not get chance to deviate himself. Because see, we are all human being. If we know that there is no check and balance, we cannot control. We will not control. It's a human tendency and it is a proven tendency. IBM already has done this test in 2015 and they said it is failed. So they now have come out, by which they control. So ingenious, when we did work from home, we created which we call, the login and the specific place in the home. The productivity measurement, that means the quantum work which we have done. Then the engagement policy, that means you are engaged. So you must see, you must monitor, because if the monitoring is not there, it's like our children na? क्या हम इस बात में बिलीव कर सकते हैं कि हम चिल्ड्रन को स्कूल जाने दें और हम कभी मॉनिटर ना करें? क्या हम इस बात में बिलीव कर सकते हैं कि हम बच्चे को मैदान में खेलने के लिए भेजें और हम मॉनिटर नहीं करें? नो. So employees are also like a children. You cannot afford to make them to work from home and you don't monitor, you don't have a guidelines, you don't have a control point. It will flop, in my opinion. So work from home it's a very good, provided a company knows how to monitor, how to control, how to engage, and how to maintain that continuity. So engineers, we are planning now that there are certain department will work 3 weeks in the home and 1 week in the office, because that monotony has to be cut. You cannot be on the same monotony for continuously. Through 3 weeks you work in the home and one work week. So accordingly, you need to redesign the sitting capacity in the. I'm just saying on the future what I'm going to do that. So you need to break that monotony. 3 weeks you work there, 1 week you come to the office. And then again you go back to work. So that I think most of the company will evolve over a period of time. One has to design in a such a way that your business continue and work from home also continue.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was very, very insightful, and the kind of teacher type discussion which you have done has enabled us to understand. When we have a chat series, as sometimes we hear out and we do not keep a track. I'm extremely overwhelmed and grateful that you have taught us step by step how you have done, and how to take your life forward. We move to the last section of our chat series, which is called the idiot section or the rubru. So
Sorry,
there,
what is called it?
it's some idiot questions. So
Okay,
why?
okay.
Yeah. So generally these questions does not comes with lot of basis, but knowing our people, we most of the people in this industry look to you as one of the business leaders. So know them personally. These are the some questions. My first question is: you are known in the industry for a very straightforward person. So if anybody has to say to Mr. P Yadav, it has to be, he will give it back. There is no gray for him. It is either white or either black. So is this, kind of character attribute sometimes, is it a good thing to maintain or it is a difficult thing to maintain?
Um, I think being a straightforward is good, but that because that reflects your character. And if you try to color your character, then you try to deceive yourself. Rather than deceiving yourself, it is better to be straightforward and be with your character, because if you keep on changing, you don't know how long and how much you will change and where to go, in my opinion. So one has to have with own character, and one should be straightforward. I think being a straightforward with some diplomacy. It's not that one should be blunt, in my opinion, because after all, you need to respect the audience, you need to respect the society. So within there is a limitation. So within that limitations, keeping in view the audience, keeping in view, for example, अगर कहीं हमारे माता पिता बैठे हैं, कहीं ओल्ड पीपल, रिस्पेक्टफुल पीपल आर बैठे हैं, तो उनका रिस्पेक्ट रहते हुए मुझे कुछ स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होना है. आई कांट disrespect that. If I do that, then I deceive the culture of my society. I can't do that. So one should be straightforward, but I think within a limitation, in my opinion. So I maintain some limitation, and within that, I try to be straightforward.
Thank you so much. How do you self motivate?
I think self motivate is doing something which you enjoy. So one is the golf. Second is always seeing your figures are good, whether it is sales figure or margin figure or profit figure. Seeing that your employees are happy, so there is a feedback system. So because if they are not happy, then your health of your organization is not good, and if the health of the organization is not good, you also cannot be good, because I'll be also affected. So keeping track of that, and if that track is positive, then I am motivated. I'm more motivated because if the children are happy, the family is happy. Because if they are not happy, I can't be happy. So these are the few things which keeps me motivated to manage.
What makes Mr. P Yadav angry at work?
Okay, I think uh, it makes me angry when I see uh, you break the rule unnecessarily. If you break the rule with some purpose and with some necessity, uh, so it has I think it has a place to have a dialogue and negotiation and discussion. But if there is no purpose, and without purpose, even if you break the rule, then but that hurts you, and that's you feel sad or bad, or your anger comes, that why it happened, why did you do this? It was not required for you.
Great. While you interview, you look for the competency or you look for intent.
I think we look more. The people has to be good. When I say the people has to be good, because see, after all, people has to deal with the colleague, with the client, with the processes, with the procedures, with the culture of the organization, with the culture of the client. So I look for whether this guy will fit into this or not. So that is the first thing I see. Then second is obviously इतना percentage marks होना चाहिए, ये skill होना चाहिए, ये competency होना चाहिए, ये institute से आना चाहिए, इस इतने लेवल के कंपनी से आना चाहिए. Those are the set rules. But my first check is that. So as on date, Ashish, that is the only thing which I have not delegated. So even if a peon is taken in the company, I will spend 1 minute, but will see that. Somebody say that you are idiot, but no employee joins the company unless I see. So every day I have interview, but my interview is hardly about anything between 2 minutes to 5 minutes. So every day I have to interview. So I can do the interview while I'm in the home, while I'm in the car, while I'm in the USA, or if I'm in a UK, anywhere I'm there, I will do for a couple of minutes. I will check that first thing. Other things, my other people will check.
Great. This is a very unique thing which we all came to know. This was not known to us. So this was a secret which you spilled. What is your favorite travel destination?
Of course, Europe. If I get chance to, of course, now I can't get chance. Looks like Europe is my favorite destination. और अगर यहाँ इंडिया का लें तो कुल्लू मनाली is my Hardwar. These are the three places which we all like too much. If I given a chance again to go, then I like to go.
And the last question from my end of this: what is your favorite food?
My favorite food, anything which is cooked by my wife, but and of course mother now is not more there. Anything which she cooks, So my children also says कि आपको कुछ भी बना के दे देता है, आप हमेशा बोलते हैं, बहुत अच्छा लगता है. So anything which she cooks because she knows what I like, and she cooks very well. But of course I like tandoori chicken. So give me a chance. अगर मुझे तंदूरी चिकन मिले मैं उसको खाना चाहूंगा.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Shefali, would you like to add any questions? It has been a truly overwhelming experience for me. And Shefali, would you like to add some questions? To
So
ask
Ashish,
sir?
I would just like to add, I just love the rapid round. Mr. Yadav has exclusively mentioned about his wife, and we always say that behind every successful man, if there is a woman, so man always succeeds, and that is very clearly visible in his talk. Wife supporting, he goes to his wife for the decisions, and she supports her. She cooks very good food for him, and whatever she cooks he likes. I mean, that is just amazing, which a man or a woman look in each other, for the professional success. So I really compliment that, and that's a very touching thing which I got to know. Generally people like to talk only about their profession. I work good, mera passion hai, mera ye hai. But yes, the bonding, which you shared, ki you work a lot in your family, within your family, spending quality time. So if you are at peace at home, things generally becomes very workable in our profession. So I think that was a very good takeaway for a lot of us, and especially for me. So I just love this part.
Thank you so much, Shefali. Sir, while we sum up this session, unfortunately, and I feel very very sad that we only have 1 hour and we have to wrap up in an hour. And this 1 hour, I will, for most of us, especially for the team Samparkians and Team Young Minds whom we come together and bring. This is the seventh series which we are doing. Today it has been an extremely learning session, sir, and most than overwhelming. I will like to share with my audience that whatever the journey sir has, one important thing which he did not mention, but I will like to add upon is humility. When he started, people say, I've interacted with many people who have seen his journey since his start when I was in Kolkata. And they have always come back and said that he's the same when he started today also. When he started, and today is the chairman, managing director, the company has reached out to IPO and it is expanding, 1,000 crore company and but what anybody who meets and he does not know genius will always meet him as a common man, and this is it feels very overwhelming for me to and getting this opportunity. I'm so much extremely grateful and thankful to you, sir, that you gave this opportunity for Sampark and Young Minds to host you. It is an honor for me personally, and you know how much I admire you personally. I hope the audience learns and take this journey forward, because whatever you have said are like golden words, and it reflects and fits into everybody's life, either be student, young professional, experienced professional, entrepreneur, and everybody can learn. I'm extremely grateful for your thoughts and your time, sir. Thank you. I would like to say
Thank you.
something.
Thank you so much, Ashish. It was a wonderful interaction with you. Your questions were thought provoking, and you really hit whatever you wanted to take out from me. And within a given time of 1 hour, I have tried my best to tell you straightforward, frankly, whatever I could understand, I knew. So it was off the cuff. There was no preparation by me. Whatever I felt, I told you. In the process of, if I have hurt anybody by saying anything, I please excuse me. But I wish you all the success to
Thank you so
Sampan.
much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir. And thank you, Young Minds and Shefali, for again taking this journey forward as usual. Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much. Thank
Thank
you
All
so
the
you.
much,
best.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a great and a
Thank you.
safe.
Yeah. Please, all the best and take care. Be safe. Thank you.